Welcome to another monthly edition of the Bona Pro webinar series. This month we're going to talk about BCCP program again, Bona Certified Craftsman, but really focused on the training aspect. So we got myself, Todd Schutte with the Bona e-learning team, co-host Matt Casey, who's our BCCP programs manager, and special guest, but usually one of our co-hosts, Dee Linston, who we have him as a special guest this month because Dee is in charge of all the live training and stuff that we do with BCCPs and regular contractors, distributors. Any live training that we do, Dee and his team carry that out for us in a great way. So we're going to go through some stuff with Dee. We've got some really good interviews with current BCCP members for you. We got another special guest too that we did an interview with, and then we'll come back and kind of do a takeaway and go from there. But Dee, first, give everybody a little information on your background. When you get started in the industry, when did you start with Bona, and just kind of your experience with Bona training.
All right, so I got started in the industry about 1995, 96. I started working for a contracting company here out of, actually in Inglewood, Colorado. Spent about maybe 3 years with those guys, and then I started my own company, Dee's Custom Hardwood Flooring, which I ran for about 4 years before actually interviewing with Todd Schutte about 2002. I was ready to make a change. You know, I was a one-man operation, so actually Bona had reached out to me through some mutual friends that were at Bona, and I had an opportunity to interview with Schutte, Cherry Creek Mall, had a little lunch that day, and was able to tell him, you know, my background. You know, I did a lot of coaching for youth sports and really enjoyed that, so he thought that would be a good fit, and with my heart, with my sand and finish background, you know, I really enjoyed just working with folks, training guys, you know, coaching guys up. So started with Bona in 2002, tech and training department. That's when we were kind of taking training away from our sales guys, and we wanted to do the training, you know, to allow them to be able to do more sales. And so then we added more guys to the team. Again, really enjoy training, meeting new folks, just learning different ways of doing things. Moved into sales for a little while as a regional guy, handled the Western U.S. and then had an opportunity of coming back into training as other guys moved into different positions within the company. And, you know, training is what I love, so it was definitely a good fit for me to come back. Working with the BCC program, did a lot of training initially for that before moving back into tech and training, and here I lay with about 5 guys on my team, and I just enjoy training.
Yeah, I remember that interview well, and I mean, since then we've done some coaching together. I mean, you've done a lot with the youth sports, but we helped coach some of our kids. Had some good times doing that, but it's been great to have you on the team and have you leading the training. You and your team do a great job.
Glad to be on board, and here we are, 20 years that I've been with Bona now, so 27 years in the industry.
Yeah, and Matt, you did a little stint in training as well.
That is true, as Dee managed that team back in 07, 08, back in those days, and you know, the training department itself has really evolved with Dee's leadership and the way our industry has evolved as well. And at that time, we were doing a lot of product testing, you know, in and around the Denver area out on job sites. And obviously now we've got a team dedicated to that while our trainers handle, you know, both those incoming calls from the contractor, but also we're holding more training out in the field. And that's really been, you know, the bread and butter of the program from the get-go, right? So Dee, as there's all types of contractors that come to the training. I know the first Bona school that I attended, I think I had coded about 800 feet in my life. You know, we've got some of those earlier guys, but we also have veterans of the industry, you know, 3rd and 4th generation guys that maybe have even attended Bona training years past and are coming for different reasons. So can you describe what that experience might be like for those contractors?
Yeah, you know, most contractors come because they want to learn mainly Bona products, because there's other, you know, I should say like associations, NWFA that does some sand and finish schools, and, you know, they have to speak in general, but they really enjoy coming and learning specifically about, you know, our products. So, you know, we're able to tell them, you know, in detail and not have to speak in general like we do at NWFA schools. But, you know, they normally come from a larger company perhaps, and they may have been taught a certain way from that company, and once they get out on their own, they just want to learn, you know, are there other ways of doing it besides the way that this company I came from? So, you know, you get guys like that. You get guys with a lot of experience that may come in and, they just want to brush up on their skills. Sometimes it's a little tough to get them to loosen up because they come there with the blinders on thinking, I've been doing this longer than you've been born. And it's nice to see when they finally do let the guards down and they kind of, just take heed to just some of the best practices that we share. We never claim that, the Bona way is the only way. And so, loosening those guys up and helping them understand that, hey, there's more than one way to sand and finish a floor. And so, by day 3, it used to be 4-day school, but by day 3, you feel like they're just part of the Bona family at that point. I mean, they're really happy that they came, even if it's 1 or 2 takeaways. I mean, we give them so much information in the whole process that it's a lot to really take in, but most guys leave there and they're very excited that they spent the time with us. So.
And how about the, talk a little bit about the two-day schools, 3-day schools, some of the options there. I mean, you guys have some options to be flexible, creative, customize some stuff.
So yeah, we do have a 3-day school, which is, contractor focused. Sometimes we'll have distributor personnel that'll attend that school, but it's really a how-to sand and finish, 101 type of class. I mean, being one of the only manufacturers that has a complete system from start to finish, it allows us to go through every aspect of the process. So we also do a 2-day training, more specific, I should say specialized for what we call our BCC contractors, which is the Bona Certified Contractors Program. And with those guys, I mean, we'll do that training at their location, at some of our RTCs, and sometimes we'll even do it at a distributor location. And again, in that school, these guys, for the most part, they know how to sand and finish a floor. They have a great reputation in their local markets, and sometimes they may have new guys joining their team that they'll send to that 2-day school. But for the most part, it's a fast-paced training. I mean, these guys know how to sand and finish a floor. That's hence the reason of them being in the program. They have, a great name at a local level. So it's almost like a speed run as far as just going through the process, make sure they understand the features and benefits of the product. But we're not really trying to teach those guys that have experience how to sand and finish a floor. It's more or less just to make sure they understand the complete Bona system.
Right, but I think the 2-day, one of the important things about that is, full roster. And also when, say a BCCP comes to one of our 3-day courses, it's usually maybe the owner, maybe their lead technician or something. Now we're relying on those guys to go back and teach all of their crew that. And maybe they do pass on a lot, but there's a lot of stuff we know that they just either forget or they don't have time to pass on. So I think that's one of the important things of having you guys go in and do a 2-day session with them, and also to reinforce the why, which we would teach a lot at the schools.
Yeah, and I would say, after doing a 2-day training, whether we are able to get in front of the whole company, they start to develop what they call a standard operating procedures. They say these are the SOPs that we're going to follow because we want all of our guys being on the same page. And I think that's great when they take that away and we see that, how that develops. And then, sometimes the feedback is, man, we tend not to have, hardly any issues when we're following a set standard versus allowing, our different craftsmen to kind of do things their way. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest feedbacks I get, that, man, our guys are, dialed in, we're all following the same procedures, and, everything tends to work out better for us doing it that way.
Yep. Yeah, that 2-day's really been a game changer, especially for those existing Bona certified craftsmen. The marketplace has changed since a lot of these guys have gotten involved in the program, have new crews that need to get trained up, but at the same time, those schedules are booked out. So getting out of the field for a full week of time can oftentimes be the biggest challenge, right? Now with over a dozen regional training centers throughout the U.S., hosting those 2 days, our Bona certified craftsmen can continue their education and throughout their path within the industry. So Dee, whether it's a 2-day or a 3-day training, what do you think maybe the biggest takeaway a contractor can pull from our training, as well as what does Bona pull from our training as well?
Yeah, for us, having an opportunity to work with contractors all across the country, as I mentioned, there's more than one way to do it, and for us to see how they're doing it out there in the field, it kind of helps us add to our program if there's a different way of us getting a point across. So that's what we enjoy. I mean, they're out there doing it day in and day out, so when they come and share how they're doing it, we're definitely taking that in to see if we can help improve the program that we're running and the training that we're doing.
Yeah. Dee, thanks for being here this morning and giving us some insight into, one, your experiences, kind of where you got started, experience with the Bona schools. I mean, it's very valuable for Bona, for our customers with the training and stuff we do. And Matt, why don't you let everybody know what else we got in store for them?
Yeah, we do have a couple more interviews we'd like to show you today. Do want to thank Dee for your time today. Obviously, very valuable for all of our Bona certified craftsmen out there in the field. It's been great to work with you the past 15 plus years, and you may have taught me how to run an edger back in those days as well. So we're very excited to announce we've got an interview with Bob Burton. He was a team member of ours years ago. Notoriously known as Bona Bob, of course, so we're excited to chat with him a bit. We also have a few active certified craftsman members that want to share some of their experiences with the Bona training as well as the BCCP.
If we go back to, kind of our very first meeting or even before that with the charter members, right? What was your feelings in putting this thing together and where you thought it could go?
Todd, at that time, I think we were in some uncharted waters. I think we knew we had a concept of where we wanted to go, but we didn't quite know how to get there. We were trying to establish that link between Bona as a manufacturer and the contractor and the consumer. And at the same time, we were trying to implement our best practices and the great training program we had. And we just, we were throwing mud on the wall. We were trying to figure out what would stick. And, we just went from there. We picked out some choice contractors, pitched the program to them, and then, all kinds of modifications were, and I'm sure have been made.
Well, when you were first talking to some of those charter members that came on board, what kind of response did you get from them? Did they get it right away? Did they really believe that this was something that we could do and that would work for them, or they just kind of wanted to come along and see what was happening?
I think we picked the low-hanging fruit originally. We zeroed in on some contractors that we knew had good businesses. We knew that they really wanted to improve. They wanted to. They had bought into training, in other words. And so at that point, it was a fairly easy sell. I think when things got a little more difficult is when we got outside that top 10 and started moving into the next 25 contractors and then the next 50 contractors. I think there was some skepticism about, okay, what's in it for me? And so trying to sell that concept of linking everything together in between a manufacturer and the contractor and the consumer, and then let alone try to insert the distributor in there as well. That was another phase, trying to get the distributors to buy in. So it became a little more difficult.
Yeah, I forgot about the distributor side, that if we were trying to get contractors to buy into the full system, right, that we had to make sure the full system was available to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we had in various markets, we had distributors that weren't especially eager to buy in right away.
Right. But I think over time, it proved out that, hey, this program is definitely worth the distributor's time and effort to make sure it's serviced as well.
Correct. At this point, I don't know exactly what the numbers are. I've been out of it for a while, but that was the initial concept, so that it would be a win for all parties. So that, as a manufacturer, it would improve our sales programs, our training programs. For the contractor, it would give them a consistent quality product to sell and deliver to the consumer. And then on the consumer end, it really added so much depth and quality to what they were getting.
Right, that if they went on our website and read about the dust containment and about traffic finish and saw all the incredible floors that Bona was used on all over the world, is that the same type of product that I'm going to get from my BCCP? That's what we wanted to try to deliver to them.
Correct. Quality assurance. Know that they could get what they wanted. And I'm sure that that's probably still a challenge today. It's a challenge in really every service industry.
Yeah, maybe even more so with, COVID definitely changed some stuff and slowed some things down. But, guys are out there busier than ever now because people are living on their floors so much more. So it's really drum business up. But I think maybe even more made that delivery of quality even more important because people are seeing their floors so much more.
Yeah, and I think one thing in my hindsight, being retired now and looking at it from what do we say, 30,000 feet, it actually gave a brand to what was being done. Instead of just saying, you're getting your floors refinished, now it had an actual brand name.
Well, can you remember a time when like maybe a contractor who was getting into the program or somebody who had been in the program for a while, when they said something to you that made you think this thing's really going to go?
Oh yeah, I think what happened, and let's say a year or so into the program, when we had maybe 70 members or so scattered across the country, contractors then made the first move. I think there were contractors that said, hey, this is what I want to do. How do I become a part of this?
Yeah, I know one guy, very good friend of mine in the New Jersey area. I think he's one of the contractors I've known since I've been here. But I know he came to NWFA convention one year and came into our booth and said, hey, I got to get signed up for this thing because, and he knew he was one of the best contractors out there. He just hadn't had time yet to go through the program because he said, I'm tired of losing jobs to my competition who's Bona certified already. And
yes,
I want to get Bona certified too.
Yeah. And I think that was where, you had those growing pains. That was happening. Plus, at, the same time, we're trying to get a certain amount of maybe concentration in certain markets, so that that was a tough sell to the contractors because all of them wanted to be the only one in their market. And it was tough to convince them that really there's a benefit to having numbers. So if you're in the Raleigh market or the Charlotte market or the Charleston, South Carolina market, it's actually beneficial to have a number of certified contractors in that market. It will actually help your business. So that was one of the challenges that we faced in that, I would call it the second level of growth.
Right. We talked about that in one of our other interviews, but some guys, always wanting to, to be the sole guy there, right? I want to be the only guy, but then realizing later and guys coming back saying, hey, I need actually more good guys in the program because when it's only me, it sounds like I'm making it up. It sounds like I made this logo and I'm saying that I'm Bona certified, but if I'm the only one in town, how can that possibly be? So
Right.
Once they got more guys in the program surrounding them and more good guys all pushing that same message, then it really helped push their business and that idea of being Bona certified.
Agreed.
Yep. How about when you think back on your own contractor business, so even before you came to work for us, right? What would a program have done like this have done for your business?
Oh, it would have been great, because as I was moving into dust containment in the late 90s, all my competition were selling their services strictly based on price, and it would have done wonders for my business. I had a good business, plenty of work to do. But having a certified program would have really taken it to another level.
And any favorite stories, favorite experiences going back with BCCP that you can remember?
Well, there are a lot. Most of the that come to memory right away are working with the contractors themselves, particularly at the schools, because they came to the schools with an objective in mind. They wanted to become certified contractors, and it just made the schools so much better. It just upped our objectives, gave them goals to shoot for, and so most of the best memories that linger with me are those associated with the certified contractor schools.
Yeah, I guess that's a great way to put it, that they came with a little more of a goal and an objective to be there, not just to learn about Bona's products, and that's great, but hey, if I can get into this program, pass the test or qualify, it's going to do great things for my business, for my family, for myself, and I'm pretty excited about that.
That's so true, Todd. And through my retirement years, I've met so many, and particularly in my marine boating life, met people who have had service industry professions. They've owned well drilling companies, HVAC companies, and when we sit around and we're talking about business growth, and I mention what Bona has, all of them thought, wow, that would be great, because they were all tied into manufacturers, but it was not particularly from a system standpoint.
Anything else you want to share from the early days of the BCCP, or just your experience with the program and the contractors?
We were trying things, and I've been out of the industry, so I'm not really aware of some of the things that have grown. We had visions, and we talked about doing a convention. We talked about just different ways the program could go. And I think it was really through the efforts of, yourself, Huddy, and other people right there in the office that did some of the work back then of just sending out emails. One of the things that was really probably a dismal failure, but we kept plugging away at it, was trying to have the kind of the live calls once a week. I think that was way back in the like 2012, 2013 time period. We tried having, the forum, anything that we can do, and probably at that point in my career, in my age, I wasn't as good with social media as the young guys are today. And I would think as the program continues to grow and develop, that's such a huge part. It's got to be such a huge part of staying in front of all the developments in communication.
Yeah, well, you'll be happy to know that I think we're at about 700 members now, 700 companies.
Wow.
And we're about to have our 5th convention. So we had one in 14, 15, 17, 19, and now we're going to have our next one in March of 2022. And it's impressive for Bona to have their own convention with all the BCCP members there. I mean, it's a big deal. And then on the training side, so we have, I think, 11 or 12 regional training centers now. And then our e-learning platform, which that's what I'm doing now. It mimics social media. So we have a ton of short videos. It looks like Facebook, so you can have a conversation on it. So that's what we're trying to emulate. And of course, all of our training stuff goes out on YouTube as well. But our once a month effort now is our webinar, which is what this is going to be. And we don't get a lot of live participation, even though we have it at 7 p.m. at night, Mountain Time. So that's 9 Eastern. But we do get some guys come on and we have some good conversations. But most of the views on the webinars come once we post it to YouTube, and guys can get on and watch it when they get a chance, right, at their convenience. And that's what the e-learning is all about too. We said we can't replace ever the live training, right? Because it's such a tactile, get your hands dirty or wet or however you want to say that industry, that's the best way to learn. But the e-learning platforms and that opportunity for them to have something to go back to and look at later as a long-term reference, I mean, you can't beat it.
Oh, correct. You know, as you were talking, you know, my mind's going back and I'm thinking about some of the experiences. And I think one of the things that was gained in the early part, and I hope it's still that, being a part of a group, contractors were much more willing to share some of the things that they did, whether it was from a technical standpoint or whether it was from a business standpoint, things they did in their own businesses and enabled us to share with other contractors. Part of that benefit of being part of a group. I think contractors were much more willing to share once they were members.
Yeah, and Heidi actually brought that up as we were talking today, that's something that we thought would be a benefit, but that we were surprised with how quickly that built into such a strong part of the program. I mean, even with those charter members, I mean, those guys became friends, right? You know, immediately emailing and calling each other and using each other as that resource that I guess we mistakenly thought that they already had from industry associations, but because a lot of them actually don't belong to the associations, they don't get that. So that's why the BCCP conventions have gone so well, and that networking aspect of being in the program is such a strong benefit.
Right. I know this has to be a challenge for you, and has been it was a challenge back earlier, and that was we're working with really busy people. They are extremely busy running their businesses, let alone, you know, family obligations, normal problems that come up. And I think the temptation there is to maybe try to quantify it and count numbers, where when you think about it, if you just make steady gains and you know, gain good, solid contractors, it's amazing what it can do from a sales perspective, from future connections, everything that makes the program better. We're dealing with some really busy people. So to get big numbers, you know, is going to be difficult. You know, we know that from doing our demonstrations at distributors and doing the face-to-face meetings. It's really hard to nail guys down. And from what I can see, that hasn't changed. These guys are busier than ever. I don't stay in contact with many contractors, a few I hear from, and they are busier than ever.
We know guys that are already booked out into next summer, next fall, because there's such a big demand now to get something done with their floors or add more floors. So you're exactly right. But that's also where the e-learning comes into play, because it's at their convenience. They don't have to find a time to come to training. They can do the e-learning anytime they want and consume, you know, small bites to just get to what they need, and not have to watch something for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, or for 3 or 4 days sit in the classroom.
Yeah, let me add one other thing that has also come to mind. I think is a tremendous benefit, and it has to do a little bit with branding. As you know, in my retirement life, as I've traveled boat-wise from Maryland to Florida, you meet people usually in a pretty healthy economic level. And in conversations, if it gets around to, you know, my former work, the next question is, oh, I live in Fort Lauderdale, or I live in Washington, or I live in Baltimore, or wherever, and I really need some work done on my floors. The easy answer for me is go to the Bona website, look up the certified contractor program and see who's in your area.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we came up with it, because as we gained more brand awareness out there, that's what was happening on the consumer line, right? People would call in and say, hey, I love your cleaner, blah, blah, blah. I was on your website and saw that you guys also have finish, you have dust containment systems, you have all these incredible floors. Who do you guys recommend? And now we send them to the locator as well, and then they can get their BCCP guy out there, or a couple of them, to give them a bid, and off they go with good service.
Well, I mean, it's great to hear that. It's great to hear that the program has continued to grow, and that's, you asked a few minutes ago about what were our objectives, and we knew where we wanted to go, but we just didn't know exactly how to get there.
Do most of the customers, are they surprised then when they hear that Bona has like the professional products, because they're probably familiar with the mops and the cleaner, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, because once the Bona name, it does carry a lot of clout, I think, right? It's, you guys been around for a long time, and the people are happy and we've yet to have a problem with it.
Hey, George, if you think back to when you became a certified craftsman, some years back now, just the training experience, the training department has really been the bread and butter of the certified program from those early days back when we launched it in 2010. And I think for our certified guys, it's a little bit, it's not, here's how you lift and lower a drum, right? But here's more of that full Bona system. Here's how to sell some of those products and use that full line. What was the training experience like for you? I think your son came as well, right?
He did. That's right. We were both there, and we had about 4 or 5 guys there with us, and we each took something from it. Like I said, I've been doing it for so long, and just thinking I know it all, and apparently I don't. So you guys, there's a few little things that Rob was doing it. Rob Johnson, yeah, he taught us a few little things too.
I mean, that's one of the things too with why we put this program together is, and one of the big benefits to come out of it is the networking, not only the business networking, but the training networking. So we don't know everything either on the training side, right? We always learn from you guys, the guys who are out there in the trenches every day, coming to the schools. We're sharing what we know. They share their little tidbits with us. And then, we just want to pass that on to the next guys who come to the school. So it's because of you guys and guys like you and your experience that helps put those trainings together and makes them more valuable every time we do them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. How did you first hear about the program?
Jordan, we were buying different, actually at the time we were big into Loba, and we did have an issue with them. We had zero support from them whatsoever. Zero. Like they let us up to hang out to dry on that one particular job. And then I was at one of the suppliers, and Jordan was there at Brampton actually, and we started talking, and he's a sweetheart. Like he'll answer the phone anytime. How did the change come about? You said you guys are using a lot of the adhesives now. Yeah, well, it's just the way things are going up here. Everything is glued down. All the engineers we do is glued down, and we've tried other glues. The urethane glues work just as well, but the main thing is with the Bona, it doesn't stick to the finish. So no matter how much you clean, at the 2 days later you go back and they say, oh, there's a little blob here or a footprint there with some glue in it, and it just peels right off.
The certified program for me was a blessing. Starting with Dave Stark, my regional representative, who told me about the system. I bought in 100%. So I don't let finances or time or anything get in the way of that. So when I got into the Bona certified program, I immediately started incorporating the Bona machinery, the Bona materials, because all it does is give me more credibility. It gives me a concrete formula. We don't all have points of references manuals for how we run our businesses. So Bona already has a point of reference manual with their systems that I can look to, I can send to customers, I can show my guys, and we already have a system on what steps we need to take. So it has helped me out tremendously that way. Bona has given me, I would say, 85 to 90% of everything that I need within one uniform, worldwide recognized company. And it has given me much more credibility. It has given me more confidence with my branding, with how I go into a estimate or speak with customers, whether in private or in business. It's credibility. My trucks are logo. I use the Bona brand as much as I possibly can as being a certified craftsman, because when you walk, as I was telling you the other day, Matt, when I go into a Home Depot or a Lowe's and I stand behind that rack and I see that symbol on that rack, that all that does is give me more credibility. So I think I need Bona more than Bona needs me. Okay, but I want to make it an equal partnership so that I'm giving all I can to Bona, knowing that Bona is giving all they can to me. So the BCC program, the clients that I've used, I did the Netflix headquarters, which I continually say because that's my biggest job as of date and most reputable. And they only got me because they went on the Bona website. I have lots of clients that when they call me and they tell me, I can tell on the phone how they got me. And I know that they got me through the Bona website. So it makes the process of sealing the job and completing the job much easier because I have a standard reputable reference point, and that is through Bona and the BCC program.
I know you've gotten your crews trained up a bit, even since initially becoming Bona certified. And as we continue to mold that and trying to stay in front of our current members in the future, is that something that's important for you and your crews? Even those guys that have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years, that continued education, I'd say, is that a part of California Hardwood as well?
It is definitely a part of it. A 3-day training period does not always translate to on the job. So there are, things that you have to work on and that are not easily translated, but at least we have a backbone and the training does work. Knowing the fit and the products, especially the finishes. If you follow the directions, you have a much better chance of succeeding. It's more than just reading the back of a bottle and it says pour a 6-inch line and apply it at 500 square feet. That's easy to read, but to translate that is not always easy. When I was in Inglewood being trained by D, I was blown away by how much finish he was using when we were applying on the test boards, test areas. But what it made me realize was, I'd say, damn, we got a lot of this finish left over. Woo, good, we could use this on the next job. That's because for years, I wasn't applying it at a 500 square foot spread rate because I wasn't putting it down right. So that little thing there has given me better quality because now I see it. I was trained by Bona on actually how to do it. And then when D said, don't worry about it, apply it like this, I had to sit back and let it do what it does, okay? Instead of panicking or doing what I think is gonna work. So the training has significantly helped my business. And when I teach my employees, I say, look, do it this way.
You mentioned deep cleaning. So, part of our trying to teach guys to be not necessarily just better business people, but realize some of the opportunities that are out there. We talk to guys about deep cleaning, trying to educate their customers and stuff about the need to deep clean their floors from time to time. And I wonder if you work that into your spiel with your customers or how you might approach that side of the business.
That has been phenomenal for me. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I know I can look online or a customer can give me their address. I already know what's in the house. at least what it was originally. I know if it's a concrete slab. I know if it's a raised foundation. When I walk into a job, I can look immediately and tell when they've used rejuvenators and polishes. So I know immediately that is going to require a full sand, but I have an option, Mrs. Johnson. We can do a Bona guaranteed recoat system. So what the recoat system has done for me is it's allowed me to give a customer different scenarios of how to approach their specific job and what it requires. And they appreciate that. And because of my knowledge that I've gained through Bona, it's almost like they're too scared to go with anybody else because nobody's giving them all of the information. I'm not selling a job to make the money. Of course I am, but I want to give the customer an informed decision with all of their options. And then they can make the choice on what they want. But if I didn't have those options to give them, then I'm only given one option. Okay, so I get a lot of work because I have options due to how I was trained with Bona. The recoat system is something that I've used a lot. I think I've got it down pat. It has never failed me. I've done it only in mostly high-end jobs, and it works. I can stand behind it.
Very well put. And I love the way you talk about giving your customers options, right? Some guys always jump right into, well, I got to sand and finish. I got to sand and finish because that's the only thing they know. And that's the only option they know how to give. But I get what you're saying on the respect and the credibility and the professionalism you gain by giving your customers options, even if it's lower cost, right? Just
Exactly.
because it's lower cost to you too doesn't mean that it's less profitable. It might be even more profitable than doing a job that takes you a week, just doing a job that takes a day, day and a half.
That's absolutely correct. It's not also, I don't run on financial panic. So I work to do the job the way it should be done and the way my customers want it with their options, not on because I got to go pay some bills this month. So I'm not desperate. I sell me. I sell Che Coleman. That's what gets the business. My education of the products and the companies that the company that I have partnered with is in Bona. That's what sells it. But backing me up, standing right behind me are two linebackers, and that's the Bona. Bona is the one that are standing behind me like bodyguards. And that's what gives after I've sold myself, then I got these two 250-pound linebackers with Bona jerseys on, and they're the ones that solidify what I'm saying. And that's what makes the difference with the customer choosing California hardwood floors over Johnson & Sons hardwood floors. So that's what I appreciate the most. And I've had many sleepless nights in the past experimenting with products and not having the resources or the technical support of being able to call somebody on the job, tell me what to do, give me some reassurance to make my life easier. And then I can go home and throw the ball with my kid instead of sitting up and panicking on if the floor is going to dry correctly. There is definitely a learning curve in all of that, but the products that I use since I've incorporated the Bona BCC program has definitely made me a more confident contractor and given me the reassurance that I need to be able to sleep at night, knowing that I am getting quality work and quality product. I'm just amazed. I'm tickled pink. And Bona has really changed the way I do business, and it has changed my productivity. I was able to get a showroom on a major street in an area that I want to work in. My goal is to work within 5 miles of my house. And my business is a mile from my house. And I have the Bona BCC and the Bona logos all over the front of my business and inside of my business. And I would not have been able to do that if it was not for Bona. So I'm highly appreciative, and it works.
Our clientele is a bit different here in Colorado. We're kind of the ultra high end. So We train almost weekly, especially with the newer guys. We don't actually get to send any of our guys out to you until they've got 3 years experience for the standard finish class to even get them certified. So we don't really send them to any other training courses until that time. But we do a lot of training in-house here just because we use such a wide variety of finishes and different techniques. That we have to keep these guys trained and do programs, almost every other week.
Just curious, is that digital side of training, has that come into rock solid at all the last few years?
It hasn't yet, but just in this last class that you guys did for the last 2 that I sent, I know you guys were talking about kind of widening that horizon a bit, and that's something I'm kind of waiting to get that link so I can dig into that myself, because I would definitely use that, especially in this day and age. A lot of the younger kids are very tech savvy, and some of them actually learn better that way. I know Raven is a super sharp cookie, and she was in your class and really appreciated the visual aspect of the just the PowerPoint and everything.
Todd, did you have anything along those training lines or anything for these guys?
Yeah, I'd like, explain a little more just about your guys' philosophy on training, because again, for being such a large company, and I know this goes back a long way. I mean, you guys were, I think, also the first BCCP to send all your guys and get, what we call full roster training. Mm-hmm. And then as you get new folks coming on, you guys do that too. But to me, it's unusual for such a large company to have that type of training. So where did that come from, and why do you guys think it's so important to your business?
A lot of it has to do with just the culture around here. Growing up in this business, it has changed over the years into more of a high perfection rate, right? So we pride ourselves on being a best practice company. So we don't, necessarily take shortcuts, to get through anything. We pay our guys hourly, so they take the long road and make sure it's done right. And training is a huge part of that, because no floor is the same. So it's hard to throw guys in, like, you get hired day one. A lot of guys will just send that assistant out to a job site and say, here's an edger, and we're gonna start training. We like to try and do a little more training on the front end, not only just with some literature and kind of give them what to expect, but we'll also do just a small training class here in our warehouse where we set up panels just like you guys do, and kind of teach them how to edge in-house before sending them out to a multi-million-dollar house to figure it out by themselves. But yeah, short answer, the reasoning behind the heavy training is just because of the culture around here. We are a best practice company, and we're going to continue to do things the best way.
I mean, I think from the clientele, like you mentioned, that you guys handle, I mean, I've never been out on maybe a medium end house, but usually high end, yep, jobs with you guys. And you can't afford for things to go wrong.
No, absolutely
not necessarily even from a cost point of view, but from a credibility point of view with those level of clients. I mean, that word of mouth is just too powerful with folks like that.
Absolutely. And that's the whole half of our business. We don't even advertise. Everything is word of mouth. The one time we did advertise, we started getting a lot of the clients that we weren't really into, a lot of the smaller 600 feet and below, houses. We're really cornering the ultra high end market. So that's why we don't advertise, and credibility is huge in this industry, because word of mouth travels fast, especially with the designers and the contractors we work with.
With the training and stuff that you guys do too, I always think back to the quote, and I forget exactly who it was that said it, but some people say, well, what if we train them and they leave? But I think the other thought is, what if we don't and they stay, right? Well, what's worse? And how about just the reaction and attitude with your technicians and stuff when you guys do provide this training? Can you see that attitude change and just their approach to the job and their appreciation for really being a true craftsman?
I guess I didn't really pay as close of attention to that, Todd, as I did when I sent Raven and Russ out there. Raven has always been that person, like she didn't really change after the class, but I felt like Russ really kind of took a turn after that class. Like he really wanted to progress his knowledge, just because our pay schedule is all based on, you know, what do you know? How can you apply that onto the next job site? And then, you know, information retention for us is huge just because of how many different things that we're doing. And after spending those couple of days at the class, I could kind of see that light bulb go off, like, hey, I want to make more money. I'm going to go out and start buying tools. So that was a welcome thing to see after the first class there.
You know, your clientele you've described a little bit already is that high end side, but does the Bona brand, or I guess partnering with Bona, being a Bona certified craftsman, does that light bulb go off with some of your clients that maybe know at least the cleaner side of things, some of those hard products, or where does that fall into it these days? I know over the last 10 years, it's probably looked different. Where does that fall today?
For me, for that clientele, it's more on the back end when we're discussing cleaning. By the time we have the job, it's already specified years in advance from an architect to designer, and you know everything that we're using. We don't even really get to make that choice or push them.
I mean, it's not necessarily true, because I mean, even I met with Ekman Design yesterday, and I've had several conversations with them about Traffic. They recognize the brand Traffic and Traffic HD, so definitely leading them towards that kind of a product, and them knowing that they're not going to have any issues. It's easier for me to sell them on that product because they've seen, you know, in jobs that we've done with them in the past, that it is a high quality product.
And we push Traffic HD hard.
Yeah, especially with a lot of the oils coming into the markets right now, penetrating oils, and like the craft oils that you guys have. I mean, they're good products, but when people are really looking for that durability, protection, where they're not going to get the callbacks, they know that that's the way to go.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your time and definitely had some great conversations with all the interviews that were a part of this month's webinar. You know, with all of the trainings that go out there each and every week in the field, it seems like we've all got one big takeaway over the trainings that maybe we've composed or been a part of. For me, as I talk to a lot of our Bona certified craftsmen in North America on a daily basis, it seems like oftentimes our relationships started at a Bona training, right? You meet a lot of new people. That networking side of the training can be invaluable for not only that week, but also a career. It's really exciting to see contractors that connected at a Bona school years ago, now still not only bouncing ideas off each other, improving their businesses and the trade overall, but really have been friends and for years, and that's what we see a lot. D, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it's the continuing education. I mean, in our industry, you can never, I mean, it's really hard to say you know everything there is to know with all the different wood species and the different products out there, different techniques. I really enjoy seeing the guys that come back 2 or 3 times just to continue to brush up on their skills, sharpening that knife, and so that continuous education, I think, is key, and I enjoy seeing that.
Yeah, and as we've seen, I mean, like you said, you can never know everything. I mean, all the different guys out there, all the different skills and backgrounds they come from are just invaluable now to create that network like you're talking about, Matt, and that personal connection. Now we have a face-to-face personal connection instead of just somebody I've heard about or I've talked to you on the phone. And for me, it's the why, and we've always talked about that is, I mean, a lot of guys learn how to do flooring by being told what to do, maybe being shown what to do, but not so much why. And as we teach in the schools, once you get to that point of knowing why, then you can have the discussion on, are there better ways to get there? Or what are the different ways to get there? And maybe if people are going at it a little bit differently, but getting to the same spot, that's fine. But the why is the important thing to know. We hope you had a big takeaway or two from the 2 sessions that we did on BCCP. If you enjoyed this, want some more training, one, definitely check on Bona.com for the 2022 Bona training schedule that Dee and his team are putting on. You can also come back here to the Bona Professional YouTube channel. If you're a BCCP member, we also have one of your member benefits is we have a private e-learning platform for you guys on Bona Fuse. So make sure you sign into that to get even more training stuff that we just can't fit it all on our pro YouTube channel. Also remember to follow, like, comment, and share all the Bona Professional channels on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And don't forget to download your favorite podcasts, On the Floor with Wayne and Rob, anywhere that you download your podcasts. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you guys next month.